laughing at me?
Of course I am.
You're laughing at me. Next adventure is using this much loved, much worn, much, there we go, mended shirt dress of the Tiny Humans as a starting point for the design of a pink linen shirt dress that doesn't button all the way up. She wants a waistline about here, and so I might like continue the buttons and make a narrower waistline, a waistband, and then a button below, right? This piece has bustards on either side, and it has doubled up fabric here and here because this fabric is super thin. Chest pockets are stupid. I'm not doing them. I am doing a collar, which is nice because it's just a couple of rectangles. That'll be easy. Okay? So I have two pieces of pink linen. They're the same size. They were super cheap because they're not even a yard each, right? So this one is a little wider than the very bottom of this skirt. You can see how it angles out, right? And so I'll gather it just a smidge at the waistband. This, same size as this. This one, half of it will go towards the bodice, and the rest of it will go towards some short sleeves and the collar and the part you put buttons in. I should look up the name for that. And then, because we're feeling fancy, there'll be lace. Got this, which I think would be pretty at the bottom. This, which is a smaller piece but will probably be usable. And then some super tiny pieces of lace that may or may not be useful in any capacity. We shall see. Also, side seam so I can put a pocket in it. Onward! Found another one of my men's. Yay. Turning the camera back on to say I lied. I took a nice cold shower because it's hot as blazes out, and decided that since my daughter doesn't actually use buttons, but I still want to put buttons on it, we're gonna make a waistband, but it'll be elasticated in the back, and then she'll be able to just drop it over her head, and the buttons will just be for pretty. Okay? So no buttons on the tighter waistband. Just elastic in the back. We'll see how that goes. Once again, trying to convince you all that sewing clothing is super easy. I sewed lace to the bottom already, which makes exactly no sense, except now I know which way is down. And I left a gap in the hem so I can put the pocket in. And then this is the waistband. Not quite sure how I'll do that yet, working on it. This actually has curves in it, which is surprising. I laid a sheet of newspaper over the shirt dress, which has a steeper shoulder angle than I was expecting, and traced and tore out the newspaper and used that as a kind of pattern. And now I have front piece, back piece that is the same as the two front pieces put together. And we'll put a pretty little bust dart. We'll fold it out. Bust dart. Something like that. The tiny human has announced she wishes it to be sleeveless, which I guess makes my life easier, but now I have more left over than I expected. We'll worry about the collar later. Right now we have pieces to play with. Yay! Usually, with the waistband, I'd fold it down to make it look like there was a belt on the outside of the dress, right? But I don't seem to be doing that this time. I seem to be folding it up, and then the waistband is going to be on the inside of it all, which makes it narrower, which is interesting and might be a good thing. We shall see. Another thing, another impulse decision is that this is the bodice. Here's the waistband, there's going to be the skirt. But another thing I impulse decided to do was to leave the pleats loose. Buttonholes might just be the bane of my existence. And I'm not doing this one properly, because I tried to do this one properly, and it looks like Opal the rabbit chewed her way out through it or something. Those little knots that are supposed to reinforce it. But looks fine when it's closed. I intended to be like, oh look, this is how you do a pocket. But I'm boogering this up so bad because it is the first one I've ever really done like this, that I'm just gonna say that there is a pocket. And it is enormous. this is the waistband. I sewed the whole top of the giant bag of pocket to it. This is the hole that goes to the outside of the dress. This side of pocket got sewed to it, and in a minute I'll fold it over and do that. This side of pocket gets sewed to it, and I'll fold it over and do that. And then hopefully it'll be a nice, seamless, invisible access to a whole alternate dimension worth of pocket. Okay, do I keep trying to make decisions at 2 o'clock in the morning? Alright, only thing that remains is the collar, and then put an elastic in the waistband, but that's not a big deal. The collar, on the other hand. So this collar, or in theory example collar, is complicated. I guess they do this because they've got sewing machines, huh? So, come on you. So look, there's these two pieces sewn into one that eat up all the edges for this and for this. And then this is double layered, right? I'm feeling lazy. I'm going to pretend these two are one piece. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. And hopefully it'll turn out alright. I've tried it on one other shirt that I made out of pillowcases, and it looks fine. So we're going to roll with it. But I'm going to try and do this little detail, because that's pretty. So, this is the fabric I have remaining. Let's see. If I fold it in half, if I fold it in half and fold it under, is it approximately, if I fold it in half and fold it under to make the collar, it is a lot taller than this collar. So I'm going to trim this down a little bit. And then I'm going to try and foldy it and figure it out. The collar. I'm sure that what I am currently doing is a crime against all sewing laws. And honestly, just winging it at this point in the garment doesn't seem like something I should be doing. There we go. But darned if I didn't just do it. Point being to encourage everybody to see that y'all can do it too, okay? If I'm doing these ridiculous things and taking risks and it turns out okay. See? That's how the top of it will look. I'll fold that back. There. And then I'll fold this in on itself too. And that part will be the color. Yes? Yay! So I know I keep breaking all of these accepted sewing rules. But if it turns out alright anyway, and if it encourages anyone to go for a project that they were intimidated by previously, then that's a good thing. Okay, I'll need to make a little snippy snip right there, won't I? So I can get everything to fold right. There we go. Yeah. I'll be done with this in just a minute. You know there's nothing in the Jostaberry. Yep. Show off how enormous the pocket is. The pocket! Alright. So, whee! No. So here's the waistband and the pocket. The tiny human has already worn this dress out and about several days, and she loves it, and it makes her feel all grown up and pretty, and that's a good thing. But the waistband was bothering me. Felt like it wasn't as strong as the other parts of the dress, so it was distorting, right? So I had a long thin piece of this linen left over, and I have now carefully sewed it to the inside of the waistband, so it's not as wiggly. On the other hand, is it a good idea to look at a piece of clothing and say, I do not like that? I'm going to emphasize it with 4 rows of embroidery. No, that's a horrible idea. So we'll see if it works or not. Either way, almost done again. And this is probably, I have a great big thrift shop spool of this particular thread, and it is almost certainly the one I will use when this dress gets stained. And I will make little decorative embroideries over the stains. So this sets up that precedent. It works nicely with the lace. So, like I said, almost done. And then I will drag my tiny human out into the triple-digit humid heat and take videos. Come back here, little monster baby. Did you get a grasshopper?